This is Jason Jackson here, giving you a response to the Zimmerman trial verdicts. I know it's the day after everybody else has been dealing with the verdict, but it took me some time to kind of get over the initial shock of everything and to be able to put my words into focus. Here's the thing. I don't understand why there has not been enough focus on the fact that Zimmerman should not have followed Martin in the first place. There's been a lot of effort to vilify Martin, and not enough focusing on the fact that Zimmerman was completely inept and had no business in that place in the first place. I mean, let's look at it. Zimmerman was not a trained police officer. He wasn't a detective or a private investigator. He wasn't even a part of a Florida registered neighborhood watch program. So it was literally vigilantism. And yet, somehow, he was saying that he understood what the term suspicious meant, or what suspicious activity was. So he saw Trayvon Martin, and he noticed that Trayvon Martin was acting suspiciously. What does he know from suspicious? I mean, was Trayvon Martin flipping around the nunchucks in the neighborhood? Was he throwing Chinese stars, punching babies as he walked by, knocking down mailboxes? Did he have a gun on his side while he was walking? No. No, he didn't. He had a bag of Skittles. And whether he had written these negative things when he was, a little bit younger, or had these blog posts about anger and rage, well, guess what? Two things. At that moment in time, he was not being angry or rageful. He was getting candy and returning to his father's house, or a relative's house. I don't remember if it was his father or his uncle. But number two, he's a 17-year-old boy. How many times have 17-year-old boys written about violence or death, or had a fascination with the macabre? Some people call it thug, some people call it goth. What's the difference in this instance? I'll let you answer that one on your own. The fact of the matter is, Trayvon Martin was not that out of the ordinary as far as kids are concerned. And this guy, who shouldn't have been on the beat in the first place and was armed, decided to follow him even against the police advice. Against the advice of people who are paid to make this decision on a daily basis, he continued to follow this guy. And he got up in his face, and Trayvon Martin got upset. But here's the question. Wouldn't you be upset if that happened to you? I mean, if you're walking to a store and you're coming back and somebody's following you and they come up to you out of the car and say, "Who are you? What are you doing here? What is your purpose in this neighborhood? Do you come to this neighborhood all the time? Where do you live normally?" Do you think that you would just be like calm and be like, "Oh, this is a neighborhood watch person and he's totally just trying to find out and make sure that everybody's okay"? No, you would not be. And you want to know why I know that? Because of how people have gotten up in arms about the TSA thing. People upset and crying, I mean literally crying, about people seeing their business on a camera. So how are you going to respond to somebody getting in your face and asking you about your private business? And it doesn't matter if it was his race, or if it was his hoodie, or if it was his pants, or his shoes. George Zimmerman didn't know anything about suspicious behavior and didn't have a right to profile somebody. He wasn't an expert. But even then, that's not what this country is about. We're not supposed to be a country that implicates an entire race based on an individual's actions. Yes, some people are saying, well, they had a right to profile him because there were more crimes that were happening, and they were happening with some black youth. So what? Does that mean that we should implicate every single white guy with a buzz cut because of the Oklahoma City bombings? No white people with buzz cuts in Oklahoma. We think you might destroy more of our things. So, if you come around, we're going to question you. Do you think that is fair? It's not? Oh, Really? There are many elements about this trial that can be discussed. But that's the one that I think is the most important. Trayvon Martin did not deserve to die that night. He assaulted somebody physically. That's true. The guy thought his life was being threatened. Okay. You couldn't have shot him in the leg? The arm? To get him off of him? No. Shot him dead in the chest. Stand Your Ground has protected George Zimmerman today. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be up in arms about it, and we shouldn't change that, because that law is bogus. It allows people to do things like this. And it's completely unfair. I think now is a time for us to reflect on what we're trying to accomplish for this country. I understand gun rights. I understand the want to have, the freedom to bear arms. I get that. But having the freedom to bear arms bears a great responsibility, and you can't just give people the right to blow people up simply because they feel threatened. And you think I'm exaggerating when I say feel threatened? Look at the latest case coming out of Jacksonville, Florida, where a gentleman shot at some kids in a truck whom he asked to turn down their music, and they did, but he thought he saw a shotgun. Pulled out a gun from his glove compartment, shot into that car. Killed one boy, a 17-year-old black kid. Once again. Using Stand Your Ground. The police have said there's no gun in the car. There was never a gun in the vehicle. The guy still is like, well, I swear I saw one. I know I would have reacted the same way. I'm sure I would have reacted the same way because I know that I was being threatened. There was no threat. He's still using it. Now, this has not gone to trial. And we don't know if that will actually be used in his defense. But the very fact that he can even invoke it in this case is sickening and wrong and needs to be changed. I pray for this country. I pray that somehow we can move past this. And I pray that we become stronger for it. And that we give each other the benefit of the doubt. Because guess what? Yeah, there might have been some black kids that were breaking into some homes in that neighborhood. But every single race has its own crosses to bear. And one race is not better at determining what other races are or what they bring to the table, or how they take away from America. I can't make that assumption about all white people, and I never would. Even given the fact that I know that my mom, who lived in Louisiana during segregation, went through some horrific things. I would never blame all white people for that. So we need to stop saying, oh, he was wearing a hoodie and he said some violent things, so he was obviously a thug and he deserved to be profiled. That's not how it works. That's not America. Let's be better than that.